and welcome back to the U Up Podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. Jordana, we were just talking. What if I took my wife's name?
I was saying it's all anyone would talk about if you took your wife's last name.
Anyone at legit, like, they'd be like, Jared, that's the guy who took his wife's last name?
Yeah, well, they'd say Jared and then whatever your wife's last name was, and then they'd say...
Let's say her last name is...
Smith.
Smith. Okay. Jared Smith. And they go, who? And
then you'd be like, oh, it's Jared. He used to be Jared Freed. He's married now.
And he took her name.
Jared Smith. Right. I think people...
Would I be considered... I
some
wonder
would consider you a hero.
Would they? I don't think anyone would consider me a hero.
I think they would. They'd be like, he's so progressive.
See, it is one of those things, you know, like, who do people, like, cheer for? Like, who do people go to bat for? They say, like, if you get canceled, like, you should never apologize.
Who says that?
They. Well, the claim is that apologies, the people you're apologizing to will never accept your apology.
Okay.
And the people who like you will
don't want you to apologize.
Don't want you to apologize.
Okay.
So, like, you're winning nothing.
I don't know. Apologies work on me.
I love an apology.
Because I'm usually not that mad, though. What the person being, I mean, depending on what the cancellation is for. But.
Sure, I like when someone's like thoughtful.
I think a great
more than apologetic.
I think a really thoughtful apology, I almost always accept.
Well, as an example, the Blake Lively thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Blake Lively thing is like kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, Blake Lively says I'm sorry. I'd be like, no big deal. I'm still,
right. I don't need like. Well, if Blake's out, there's ways for her to say sorry that I would be like, go fuck yourself.
Right.
Like for those that don't know, and you guys had a great video I watched on Betch's main account.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Betches,
yes.
you, Sammy, and Aileen talking about the Blake Lively situation
right.
in a very thoughtful way that I was actually proud.
Oh wow.
Of the Betches team.
Thanks.
Because it was a great conversation and it's a tough subject to talk about. I'd be afraid. You know, we're talking about, you know, trigger warning, domestic violence.
Right.
That's what the movie's about.
Right.
She seems to not take the subject seriously. She seems to think it's the Barbie movie, the way she's acting on the press tour.
Yes.
There's this other guy who's her co-star he might be the most gorgeous man I've ever seen.
Justin Baldoni.
He's a beautiful man. You don't think he's a beautiful man?
I think he's fine.
You guys you're out of your fucking mind.
A beautiful man.
Do I have to defend this guy? Do I gotta fuck him?
I think I think Ryan Reynolds is hotter personally.
You're out of your mind. We have two different types.
I guess we have different types. You do like a more Kardashian look.
That is true.
He has more of a Kardashian look than Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, in the phylum that I would normally
He's like
go
Rob
for.
Kardashian.
Yeah. How is Rob? We don't hear from him.
I don't know.
much.
We don't hear much.
Well, we won't go down
this.
this.
Fine. Anyway, we
yeah,
and
shout out
also
to
sorry
Rob.
if this is we're recording a little ahead of time, so it might be the fact that it might be the case that no one has talked about this in weeks. I still think it's kind of going on though.
I think the subject of apologies is interesting because this subject, so you guys already talked about it,
yes.
but to let people know, that's the story, right? That it's a movie about domestic violence that Blake Lively doesn't seem to be taking seriously as a subject.
Right. She seems to be like promoting a lot of her products. It was weird. She has the weirdest thing I think she did, and again, I don't know if this is her idea, but she has a cocktail line and she names one of the cocktails after the guy, Justin Baldoni's character, who is like the domestic abuser.
Really?
She named the cocktail after him. I think that was like the weirdest.
That is bizarre. Are you out of here? Really?
That was like the craziest thing I think that she did.
I walk around triple thinking about everything I do and say. We end this podcast that I don't even know if anyone's listening anymore.
We digress quite a few times.
Right.
Yeah.
And I go, did I say anything bad? And Blake Lively is just running through life naming drinks after abusers.
Yeah, it's just a weird. To me, it's like almost like it felt like she didn't fully get like.
How could she not
She's promoting it like it's a rom-com, which it has rom-com-y elements. I'll tell you, I started to read the book It Ends With Us years ago.
It seems as though this is one of those books that a bunch of women have read. Like
yes.
It was like a thing.
I started to read it. I stopped reading it because I thought it was quite cheesy.
Okay.
I didn't get to the domestic abuse part.
Okay.
I stopped reading in the midst of the love story, and I was like, these characters like annoying me.
Okay.
Both of them. So I stopped I
So
stopped.
you're
right.
out, and you didn't really
Yes.
know that.
But I
this-
know it's like a cheesily written book. So I think it's almost like it's like a little her fault, but it's also a little bit like the content subject matter, not the subject matter, but the content of the book is written in a rom-commy kind of way. And so I think Blake was leaning more into that than the DV stuff. Like
Right.
even the author of the book came out with a coloring book about the movie. Like
Oh,
it doesn't
so
people I think
it's
are
a little
confused
Well-
exactly which lane it's supposed to be in.
Well, I guess most people are probably like me, have no intention of watching the movie.
Right.
No, know it as I just know it as
It's
domestic
promoted.
violence
Even
movie.
The trailers look before you knew about the domestic. You only know I think about the domestic violence angle of it because there's been so much backlash.
That's that.
Right.
But that's the thing. This is as a person who has no intention of reading the book or
Mhm.
watching the movie. That's all I know about it.
Right.
I don't know it to be. I didn't know it was a light movie about DV. Like,
That's what I'm saying. It's sort of like it's become its own weird like. It's just a weird piece of content.
Right. Well, that's the thing about Blake Lively is like she can't. At this point, we're past the point of her going, "I'm sorry."
Well, she tried to do that.
Trying to
weirdly.
explain
She put up
that
like
it's a light
post
movie
with
or-
some hotline numbers or something like that.
Right. I to me, I would more appreciate Blake Lively going, listen, the movie to me was always a rom-com. It has elements of that. That became the story for people. I understand people going through
Mhm.
their own version of this will not think so lightly of the movie. I underestimated that. Like, that would be like a thoughtful response,
Yeah.
which she hasn't seemed to
She doesn't
done
seem-
do
well-
to
Well,
this
she's
point.
acting according to your philosophy.
Right.
Don't apologize.
Well, and I think her and Ryan Reynolds are like kind of two birds of a feather.
Been a tough couple weeks for them.
Well, yeah, they're sitting there counting their Mint Mobile money. This
Yeah.
guy's got more dough. I think
Maybe
they're
that's
like,
why. But here's the thing: you can get to a level where you don't apologize because you just don't give a shit
right.
about your reputation.
Yeah, I guess rich enough to not apologize is a.
That's its
you know,
own. Its own. That should be its own tax bracket.
Right.
If I'm the IRS,
Right.
I'm making a rich enough to get canceled and not apologize bracket. They should
Right.
get taxed a little more for the privilege.
I'd take it.
Same.
I'll take that type of money, whatever. But I don't even know what. I mean, I've talked about this. I don't even know what I would have to cancel me about. Like, mine would be so in the gray. Again, this is in the gray.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
This isn't even a cancelable thing to me. Like, it's just like I just think of her as like
It's just like she had
kind of a piece of shit now. Like to me, the same thing. Her movie is a DV movie to me.
Right.
Blake Lively is a cunt to me. So
Which
that's
is-
I don't
which
know
to
how
me
that
is kind of like
that's
fine.
PR.
Here's the other part. It's like I don't really care. Like I don't need to like her. I don't need to not like her.
Right.
If she's an asshole, I'm not friends with her. I don't care that much.
Would you
Like-
Would you buy her cocktail?
If I heard it was good, I wouldn't buy the one named
How
after
good
the
could it
domestic
be?
abuser.
Right.
Here's the no.
To me,
yeah, maybe
if I have a
wouldn't be-
decision on the store shelf between
Right.
Blake Lively's cocktail and
Beyonce's coming out with a cocktail. I prefer to buy Beyonce's cocktail. I agree with you, and that's kind of where I guess it matters. Where I'm kind of like, I wish Beyonce more well than I do Blake Lively.
Right.
And maybe that's past this thing, or maybe that was always kind of there.
What
but-
happens is I end up going beyond the person and create my own person in my head.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people do that. Like Ray Gunn, the breakdancer from Australia that became like a big thing. Like, I hate her. And
I don't even know who that is.
You don't know the breakdancer from Australia? This is like the biggest story.
Oh my god.
So this woman, she's a breakdancer. There was breakdancing in the Olympics,
Okay.
and they had male and
Oh, I've
female
heard of this,
breakdancing. And this
okay.
woman from Australia went up, and it was like,
People
it-
made fun of her though, right?
yes, it was. It looked like a toddler dancing. And
Okay.
then she's like, she's white. She has a doctorate in breakdancing. You come to find out,
Okay.
and then everything I've heard, again, we're all reading one sentence of the tweet.
Yeah.
So everything, here's my own whatever, and I'm sure someone will correct me, but here's what I, as someone who watches these things passively, it has come to light that maybe she's like the head of the Australian breakdancing league, and
Is
she,
this good or bad?
well, she kind of put herself in the Olympics.
Oh.
There's accusations that she made sure that she would be an Olympian. which is something.
true?
This is something people do. This is the whole premise of Cool Runnings.
Okay.
Cool Runnings, Australian bobsled team, or no, the Jamaican bobsled. I'm sorry, the Jamaican bobsled team. The whole thing is like, we want to be Olympians. So what can we do? We'll be Jamaican bobsledders because we'll be the only ones who fucking bobsled from Jamaica.
I did that in high school so I could get a varsity letter.
This is.
I did the walk. I did the walk race
There's
for the track team.
Really?
There's a walk race, and
You were one of the people that walk
yes,
really fast.
Yes,
That's
I got made fun
hilarious.
of so much, but I wanted a varsity letter, and I was on the track team, and I'm really bad at running. So
Yeah.
they were like, well, and the coach was like, listen, there's no one who's doing the walk race. You will be by default the fastest person doing the walk race if you decide to do the walk race, and you'll automatically qualify because you'll be like the top one because you have
Right.
no competition.
That's so funny because I don't hate you for this.
Listen, this was what I was told would get me.
Yeah,
this
you want
was
that
the-
letter? Here's your way in.
Yeah.
Same to her. You want to be an Olympian? Get out there and dance. You know, and I think she was like the head of like the Australian breakdancing thing, and her husband was like one of the judges. Like it's like a whole thing.
Okay.
And also this could all be someone just made it up, and I just took it as fact. I don't know how true. I'm repeating it, and this is actually not responsible.
Now we found
of
out
me.
what you're going to get canceled for.
Yeah, just repeating
Spreading
shit.
misinformation.
I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't know. It is weird when you get presented with something, you go, and now I've turned her into this, like, she's probably like, to me, she's like one of those people that's like, and, one of these like liberal people that like tells people what to do while she's putting herself in the
Hypocrite?
Olympics. Yeah,
Yeah.
like this big hypocrite. Like
Yeah.
I've painted her in some
Right.
way that's probably not fair to her. And I think that's what we do. Like Blake Lively, I got 2 stories, done.
Right.
That's how I know
Well,
her.
that's the drawback of being in the public eye. That's the
Right.
other part of it. And I mean, we get it to an extent, not as much as these people, but you get critiqued. You get every word you say gets. That's why I thought those old videos that they pulled up of her, people were really upset about them.
Well, she was in an
She was
interview
kind of an
and
asshole.
she did give off.
But I
bad
also
energy in
think
that
like
video.
she gave off bad energy. But how many? If someone looked at all of the footage of every podcast you've
Right.
ever done, yours or someone else's,
and pick and pluck.
could they find something that makes you look like an asshole?
Well, that's
Probably.
Absolutely.
Right.
You could put together a whole fucking
Real,
day of
yeah.
video of make me look like an asshole. But I mean, take a cut of every time I go, it's women.
Right. Yeah. Just keep playing repeat.
Right. I think our minds are not complex. Like we only have enough room for like one thing about people, you
Yeah.
know, like, and no, I that interview with her, I watched it, I was like, oh, she seems like an asshole. Like that was like
Right.
my only
So
takeaway.
did Parker Posey, though.
Parker Posey too, but not as famous. Not as,
Right.
well,
it's not as fun to bring her down
Right.
because it's not like, oh, let's start talking shit about Parker Posey. It's like
Right.
no one's been talking about her that much
There-
anyway.
right. We have. We
Oh
just
yeah,
talked
we just
about
talked
her.
You Got Mail. Yeah.
She was fantastic in You Got Mail,
That
but
movie
it
came
seemed
out
that,
in like 1996, though.
right, and maybe that character was closer to the reality. Is what now
Right.
what you've kind of come to terms with is like Parker Posey is the out of it
Right.
rich wife of Joe
Someone.
Fox.
Right.
So I don't know. What were we talking about?
Well, we
This
were
is a
talking about you
dating
changing
podcast
your
still?
last name. You changing.
Oh, if I change.
Well, it made me think of Brooklyn Beckham. Nicola Peltz Beckham and Brooklyn Peltz Beckham got married,
Mm.
and they changed their name to both of their last names.
So he's now Brooklyn Peltz Beckham.
Yes. And she's Nicola Peltz Beckham.
Well, this to me is the same as being rich enough to not be canceled.
How's
He's
that?
rich enough to not make any mistake with his life. Brooklyn Beckham to me lives in a what's it called? A
Bubble?
bubble, yeah, like a jump castle.
Okay.
He
Bouncy castle?
A bouncy castle. His
Okay.
life is a bouncy castle.
Right. But he could be like, well, fuck that. Why would I take someone else's last name?
Well, I'm just saying, like,
To me, it goes to show the
Okay.
power, because she has a very, very rich dad.
oh,
Richer than the Beckhams.
really?
Yes.
So the money won.
So to me, it's like this is sort of the dad's way of being like,
Ownership over
right,
the
like this don't like this is still my
well,
situation.
I would
here.
say to me, we watched Brooklyn Beckham, some behind the scenes action. We were in Cannes.
Oh yeah.
We watched him get kicked out of a restaurant.
I know. He's probably really sweet.
Well,
He didn't make a scene.
He was very polite, and kicked out is a very strong way for me to say it.
Yes.
We had reservations at this restaurant to get drinks with the people from Spotify. We had to beg this restaurant to sit us because we were 15 minutes late. They were like, "We are closed. It is over." And then we were like, "Please, we just want to get some
stay for a
spritzes,
drink. Yeah.
one drink." And they go, "Fine." And then behind us, Brooklyn Beckham shows up.
Yes.
And he's
with like a crew of like 2 other people
to have drinks, and they're like, "No."
They said no to him, which made me feel very cool.
Right. But maybe that's when he was like, "I need an extra oomph out of my name isn't enough. I got to bring in this billionaire name I'll never not get sad again."
This was after that.
Yeah, that's when.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
So he
saying.
gets kicked out of the restaurant.
Oh.
He looks at us. He looks at me. He goes, "Look at that loser. He got sat down and not me. The Beckham name's worth nothing." And then he went and got the billionaire name.
I actually think quite the opposite.
Okay.
I think that just goes to show his personality is like, he doesn't need to be the alpha. He's got nothing to prove. And I think that's sort of like.
That's the bouncy castle.
That's like if you're going to say like he has a quiet confidence,
right.
or like he's like, I take your last, I don't give a shit.
So if I took my wife's last name, I would be
and
considered
hyphenated would you hyphenate, or would you just go with her last name?
I think at that point, hyphenating is the side door.
Yeah.
You take the name, that is quiet confidence.
That's a move.
That's a move. I don't know if it's considered quiet confidence, though. I don't think people
I think
would
some men would call you kind of a pussy.
Right.
And that's not right.
I
I don't
would.
think that's right. I don't think that's right.
No,
but,
listen, it's not. Some people say we shouldn't have steaks. I still salivate. So.
I don't think it's right. I think that like it would be great to live in a world where people could do that.
Red flag or deal breaker? You're a month in with a guy. You love him. And he's like, "I'm taking my wife's last name." Does it change?
What's his last name? Is it like
it's like something cool, like Bell's
Tommy Dick or something? Like, is it a bad last name?
It's Tommy Big Cock.
Yeah, Tommy Big Cock. I'd say yeah. Let's do my last
Just
name
do
for
mine.
the kids. Let's do that.
You ever see?
If they had, it really would depend on the last name. To me,
let's say they had a fine last name, Armstrong.
yeah. And and he's like, I'm taking. Well, it's like
I want to
then
be
I'd
an
like,
Abraham.
then I would say, that's very interesting. Like, what's the reasoning behind that? Do you have issues with your dad?
Okay.
Or do you just feel like it's like an unequal thing? Is it like a stance on feminism? Like, what is the reason behind?
That is so interesting. The choices you just gave me.
Maybe
because you're right. Yeah. I would think the same thing. My family stinks. I'm trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
Packaging. Mm-hmm. Or I want to let people know I'm a hero. That
would be the deal breaker for me if I want to let people know I'm a hero.
But if someone said to me, I just think women are underrepresented, I would think that they're bullshit artists, and that was their way to let people know how heroic they were. It's a thin line.
I prefer it to be family problems.
Yeah, these are interesting conundrums.
Yeah. And I also think if their last name was horrible, I would also get it. If they're just like, I've been trying to escape the Jerry Big Cock.
I'm Jared.
Big Cock last name.
Fleming Finger.
Yeah, I guess
Fleming Finger. Like, I don't know what's a bad last name. I just tried to do it and I couldn't.
I don't know, something just like really hard to pronounce, really long, like
cock something.
Yeah. Something where our kids are going to get like tortured.
Jared Pussycock. Nice to meet you.
Yes.
It's kind of strong when you say it.
I mean,
just introduce yourself as Jordana Pussycock.
I'm Jordana Pussycock. I can't do it.
I guess, I don't know. That's a fun, but when you say it, strong.
If they said I am interested in the hyphenating thing, I'd say that's kind of cool. I would discuss that.
A la Brooklyn
Beckham. Maybe made it cooler than it could be.
If I'm David Beckham, I'm pissed. I'm the best soccer player in the history of this country. And you're not continuing this? People need to know.
Well, maybe that was, again, I think maybe that's her dad's way of saying you might be David Beckham, but
interesting.
This is my family.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Brooklyn Beckham how does he break out of being a Beckham? His way is to be super feminist with the
I don't
hyphenated
even-
last name. To me, it's an angle.
You
I
think
don't
it's
buy
an
it.
angle? You think it's an angle? To me, I think it's just he's like cool as a cucumber.
Just no
Unbothered.
cares.
I think
I'd be
he's
unbothered
really
too if I had $200 million in the bank.
Yeah, he's unbothered. He's like he got engaged like 21 years old. He's like-
Nothing to prove.
I think he's just like there's this
What's
hot.
she look like? Is
I
she
think
hot?
he's a little.
She's got to be gorgeous.
Yeah, she's very
Yeah,
pretty.
it's just-
She's very and she's very rich.
Like billionaire status.
Yes.
So he's on boats, and yeah, that makes things.
I mean, he's rich
21.
too, but that's
No,
what I'm
no,
saying.
no,
He's
different
21.
story.
She's like, I think her dad's running the show. If her daughter's
Right.
marrying a 21-year-old, she's like a few years older than him.
That's you're closer to a quinceañera bat mitzvah than
Right.
you are like adult life. Here she is. Oh yeah, she's like an art piece. Let me see her in the morning on a Tuesday. Got that? Can we AI that?
Pull it up. But anyway,
Any hooser.
think about would you do it?
Would I do?
Would you do it?
the hyphenated?
Yeah, if you're marrying a Jennifer Gates, Bill Gates' daughter.
Jennifer Gates.
You're marrying Jennifer
Jared
Gates.
Gates Freed.
Yeah.
Jared Freed Gates.
You get
I
a
don't know.
$54 million penthouse in New York City. I just read that she bought that.
What's she looking like, Jennifer Gates?
She's like a doctor. She's got red hair.
She's a doctor.
Yeah.
What a stupid way to be a billionaire's kid. I'd be on an island.
I mean, she's a doctor living in a $54 million penthouse.
right. I don't think she's doing surgery every 5 minutes. How's she looking?
She's cute.
Yeah.
I
This is her Facebook. Yeah, she's cute. She looks like who she
Melinda
looks.
Gates.
No, I was gonna. Say, she looks like an actress. The redheaded actress that was in the movie where she translates shit.
Jessica Chastain.
She's a little Chastain-ish. And then what's the one where she's like, I'm not even naming her top movie. She was in The Office as the one who came in and sold bags.
Oh,
I can't believe I've named like her.
Amy
like,
Adams.
Amy Adams.
Sorry. Yes.
I can't believe you found it out of those two roles. I gave the
I'm pretty
worst
good.
roles for her.
I'm pretty good at the movie game.
Yeah, that was good.
But anyway, so Jennifer Gates, I'm in love with you, Jared. You and every generation of your family will never have to work again.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Also, the Gates name pretty good for your kids.
it's pretty good.
Opens a lot of doors.
Opens every door.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd probably take it.
you do it.
At that point,
That's what I'm saying. I feel
I
like
love
you,
how love never came
I
into
feel
this
like-
conversation.
I feel
We
like
never
you'd-
even mentioned whether I was so in love I'd take it. I'm like, am I a pussy?
you take it.
I'd take it.
Or what if she said you could keep your last name, but I want the kids to be
Gateses.
Gates's or Freed Gates's. Gates
Freed
Freeds.
Gates.
Gates Freeds.
Freed Gates. Why don't we combine it? Make it one whole new name.
Freights.
Freights.
And then,
Freights.
Then you don't get neither of you win.
Yeah, I kind of like that though.
Yeah.
Create a new endeavor.
My last name is I'm Jordana Rosenberg Abraham.
Jordana Rosenberg Abraham. That is a
Yes.
mouthful.
No,
Lot of
no
Jew.
middle name. No middle name.
No middle name.
Well, I can tell you, my mom had a bad first divorce from her first husband. And then going into her second husband, my dad,
Yeah.
she was like, fuck that. My kids' names are, my last name's going on all of them.
Really?
So the bottom four.
Your dad had to pay the price.
The forgotten, I told you, the older four, the favorite four.
Yes.
The forgotten four are all Rosenberg Abrahams.
Wow.
A little
And your
revenge.
dad-
It's filled with revenge.
It is.
Yes.
And what does your dad think of that? He was just like, whatever?
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't like really old enough to.
You never asked him like what his feelings were on getting shipped to the
on
middle
the last
name?
I don't know. I should probably.
So all the kids, their middle name is Rosenberg.
Yeah, they all have all of them except for me have additional middle names.
Why do you not have a middle name?
I think they were like fighting a lot when I was I actually think this is the reason.
Yeah.
I think they were like having like a pretty tumultuous relationship when I was born. I told you they were thinking of aborting me.
Oh my God.
I told you this.
JD Vance is going to bring you on stage
they
to
were
talk
like-
during the RNC.
They were like gonna split up.
right.
And I think that then this is my theory. This isn't like they haven't fully said this, but I feel like they were like, this is a stressful enough situation. She's got like the first name, like whatever.
Mm.
Like we're We're not adding stress by trying to figure out a middle name.
That's how much they were fighting. They were like, we can't even discuss a middle name right now. We just need to like not talk about it.
That's kind of my theory because
Yeah.
the rest of them have middle names, and I was told that like the question of whether or not I would be like they were like really wanted to even do this
Wow.
was
So bringing up the initials on the backpack during the ad we read was like kind of a bad memory to bring up for you.
I mean, I don't remember it.
Well,
I
I'm
actually
saying-
I think it's kind of a funny story.
Yes.
Personally.
we'll let the audience
I mean,
decide.
my parents aren't together. It's not shattering any.
No, but it is interesting to like think like, why did this happen? It's your own history. It's like,
yeah.
why'd they bury King Tut with his cat, and we only
Exactly.
have theories? Why does Jordana Rosenberg Abraham not have a middle name? My middle name, thank you for asking,
Is Lewis.
Whoa,
Wow.
got it. Louis,
And it's Lewis, not Louis.
not Louis.
Okay.
There was a thought when I started comedy I'd go by J. Lou.
No, there wasn't. That sounds like someone's grandpa.
Half a thought. Yo, J. Lou.
Okay. And how did your parents come up with your name?
I think there was an Uncle Louie.
What about your first name?
Jared?
Yeah.
I've never asked.
Never.
I think it was just like a name that was going around in those days.
they just liked it.
I think that
Yeah.
was the case. My brother's named after my great grandfather.
Okay.
He was at Harry. There's a whole story about that. My mom tells it all the time where she like, I guess like whoever named, there was like this thing that like if you named your kid after Grandpa Harry, you'd get like the family jewels.
Really?
Or there was some sort of like
Harry's got a lot of
promise.
jewels coming to him.
Well,
Or your mom does?
my mom was like, went to my bubby, like, we named him Harry after Grandpa Harry, like beaming, like
Yeah, that's
looking
gonna be
out.
you to Bill Gates.
Right. So my bubby was like, who's Harry? And she's like, we named him after Harry. And she goes, his name's not Harry, it's Izzy. So she, like, fucked
so
up.
she did the wrong name.
Yeah.
I like the name Harry.
I do too. That's another story that I've told here before.
What? Oh,
Don't
that
worry,
you
if
wanted
you're
to
listening,
call-
we have a podcast
You
to do.
wanted to call him Harry. Or no,
Harry wanted to go by Harrison.
Yes, and you said don't do that.
Big mistake. I said, everyone remembers a young Harry. Everyone forgets a Harrison.
That's true. I
In
wonder.
the workplace.
I wonder what it would be like if it was Prince Harrison and Meghan Markle.
Right. I don't think it wouldn't be as fun.
He wouldn't be as scandalous, maybe.
That kid, scandals his whole life.
I think he likes it.
He's got to.
I mean,
Didn't he dress as a Nazi?
he did. Never forget.
He never.
We never forget. I never
No.
forget.
You're going to Fra next week.
I'm going.
So we're taping ahead.
Yes,
We should tape. Maybe we should do 2 a week every time. The first episode will be like a normal, and then the second episode
Off
will
the
be
rails.
a lot of off the rails.
Yes, we really went in like 6 different directions. We covered last names, Bill Gates, all of it.
All the subjects
Yes.
that needed to be covered.
Brooklyn Beckham.
Brooklyn Beckham.
We did it. Okay.
Let me just say, welcome to fall. My
Still
fe-
summer.
It ain't summer.
It's over.
School year started.
Back to school.
Back to school. I had something happen last night, and I was at the cellar, and I walked back. Spaniard, as we've talked up the Spaniard here.
Yeah.
I love the Spaniard on a Tuesday night. I think on a Saturday night, not for me.
Fair.
It's a fair, I think it's an adult bar on a Tuesday night. There's younger people there, but it's an adult bar. It's easy to hang. And I walk in, and there are these 2 women that I know. And one of them, we've kind of talked about going on a date.
Okay.
And I haven't made that happen. But I walked in, and now I'm ordering a drink, and I'm like having a drink with them as a group. And it's like, this is kind of the date to me.
Was it weird? Because
It's a little weird.
did you say anything? Did you acknowledge?
She kind of did. I kind of did. I mean, it's 12:30 on a Tuesday. Like it was like late,
Okay.
but there was a little bit of awkwardness.
Okay.
And I'm like, this awkwardness is not what, we're not going to go on a date. Very nice person, but I was like, we're
Why?
not even getting through this awkwardness. Like,
Okay.
it,
Because it didn't flow. Right.
there was something in the air of like, where it was known I didn't make a date.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're sitting here having a drink together.
You're right.
And it's like, well,
you
this
just
is
did
it.
You just
we
did
just
the
did.
date. Yeah.
You know,
And
like, and it's, I know it doesn't count versus counts, but it's like,
But I think that goes to show, like, I think you have too many options.
yeah, I have a,
That's the tough part. I think it is. It's like thought of as a woman problem because men have so many options, but it's also a man problem.
oh, absolutely. Well, decision paralysis.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not even that I like, again, I'm not like, I hope this is taken with in the context of how we're speaking here. Like, I'm not like, goodbye, bitch, and then going and jumping into bed with another woman. These aren't the options I'm talking about.
Right.
My options are, let's get a drink and see. And I'm closer to a normal guy. Like, I'm not, this is the problem with dating apps is for men, it's the illusion that you are the Fonz, leather jacket. I can go and get any chick I want. It lets you be out every night, the
Right.
app. When you're just regular Joe or Jim,
Yeah.
you're not going out every night, but it allows you to have the energy of a guy who goes out every night because the bar's on your phone.
I don't think you need the apps.
I'm out. I deleted it.
Not for you.
Not for me. What are we talking about today?
Dear J&J, longtime listener, first time writing in, I found myself in quite the sticky situation and I need your help deciding the best way to approach this.
We love a sticky tail.
Sticky.
Yes.
Sometime last fall, I matched with a guy on Hinge. Let's call him John.
Hey, Johnny.
One night, I was out with my friends at a club and texted John to come. He ended up coming with a friend. Let's call him Dan.
Hey, Danny.
John and I really hit it off and made plans to go to a show together. Fast forward to a few days before the show, which he had previously said he had already bought tickets for. I texted to confirm that we were still on, to which he replied he couldn't go because he was on call for work that night. What is he, a doctor?
I guess so.
I replied with a cool bye. Never got a text from him again. I unfollowed him on Instagram a week or so later, and that was that.
Sounds like you handled this pretty calmly.
Fuck off. Fast forward a couple months, I ended up matching with Dan on Hinge.
Hey, Danny.
I ended up writing back some sort of joke referencing the night out we had a couple months earlier with his friend John, and we started chatting. Our conversation turned flirty, and he asked to meet up for drinks. I remember feeling weird about going out with him because I had already met him when I was kind of on a date with his friend, but decided to just go along with it. One of the first conversations we had on the date was me bringing up the elephant in the room, how I knew him, and he really seemed to think it was no big deal. He told me that he and John aren't actually that close.
All right.
Wow.
Who cares about him? You're with me now.
The date was fine, and I had friends going out later that night, so I asked if he wanted to join us, which he did. We had the night out, got pretty drunk, and slept together that night. I really was not interested in seeing him again, and the last time I heard from him was probably 2 to 3 months ago. Okay.
This email goes in many directions I don't see coming.
There's a lot going on here.
A lot going on. So she meets, okay, so John and Dan.
Give us a little summary up until now.
So there's John. They're going to go out. They don't go out.
No, they do go out.
So John.
She's met this guy, right? Hold on. So she matches with John on Hinge.
Mm-hmm.
And then he winds up meeting her out with a friend. So the first time she meets him, he's with this friend, Dan.
Mm-hmm. Then they're going to go to a show.
Yeah.
And then they're going to go to a show. They don't go.
He cancels.
She gets mad,
Yes.
unfollow everything, matches with Dan, goes out with Dan, gets drunk. They fuck.
Yes.
And then she's
Nothing
like,
with
goodbye.
him. Yes. Weeks later, I was hanging out with a friend and ended up sending him a photo of me and her to John on Instagram saying, we were just talking about you or something along those lines. I thought she unfollowed him. I guess not. He quickly replied.
Well, you can unfollow and still send a message.
That seems weird, like a weird move, but fine. He quickly replied and we began chatting. He apologized for bailing on the show we were supposed to go to last fall, and I apologized for maybe being a little dramatic with my Instagram unfollow.
Okay.
After some messages catching up, we were back to our old fun banter, and he asked me for a date. We planned one for a couple days later.
Things are like they were before.
Yeah. We planned one for a couple days later. Well, now here I am typing this email the morning after the date. The date was amazing. 8 hours long.
Oh, my God.
Starting out with day drinking at some different bars and ending with a super hot makeout session back at my place.
Love it.
He told me multiple times throughout the date yesterday that we should have never stopped talking, profusely apologized for the show we never went to, and made it very clear he wants to see me again.
Okay.
Here's my question.
Finally.
How and when do I tell him that I fucked his friend? When I
Ooh.
went out with Dan, John and I hadn't spoken in months. I had no intention of ever seeing/speaking to him again. But here we are. I really like John, and I'm aware that this could very well be a deal breaker. So I really feel guilty withholding information that could make him want nothing to do with me. Some insight into when would be an appropriate time to tell him and how to tell him would be so greatly appreciated. Thanks for getting all the way through this. You guys are the best. Sincerely, a homie hopping batch.
So I like this
Good question.
email. It's a good question. This is living in the reality of 2024. And as we said, you meet a lot of people,
Yeah.
kiss a lot of frogs.
A lot of notches on the belt.
There it is. Good for her.
Hasn't done anything wrong.
No one has done anything wrong. I've been in scenarios like this where
Which person are you in this scenario?
I'm her.
Oh, you're. I feel like it's more socially acceptable for men to be in her position.
Let me press back. Maybe socially acceptable, but not, I don't think, relationship acceptable.
Okay.
Like, I think to me, I listen, I can't tell you how these guys are going to feel, but I do think that if someone told me, like, I had sex with your friend, I wouldn't be, like, personally offended by it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would go, you guys, you met us both. I said no to the date. We didn't talk. Then you went out with someone. I would go, okay, I can understand how that would happen. He's a single guy too. You haven't spoken since, and we had a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that'd be okay. And as Dan said, they're not that close.
Right.
So it's
if
not
you're
like
John,
a,
and
like
if
if
they were
I'm
that close,
John,
if they are that close, he probably would already know.
right? Or maybe, who knows?
Sure.
And John is sitting there going, well, he's not going to be like around my social circles. If they were
What
like,
if he was?
again, these are things that I would like take into account and
Used to the breakup that it was nothing had nothing to do with this.
Right.
Used as an excuse for it.
yeah, if you didn't fuck Dan, we'd be together.
Sorry.
No, I don't think I would be as bothered.
Okay.
I do think, like, to me, like, she should just say. But I think when the gender's reverse, I'm wondering from my point of view, to me, I do think
I'm trying to think about this.
the leveling, I think, the comparison game, I don't know which gender does it more, but I think the relationship stuff for women, the comparisons of who's worthy of dating, not worthy of dating, if you've been with a woman before and you guys just hooked up, are they did you lust for her and I'm just, do you know what I mean?
I guess. Although I did think it's more socially acceptable for men to sleep with multiple people.
Right. I have no issue with
I know
this
you-
multiple people thing. Like, I think everyone has a past. I think it'd be like crazy of me to, the numbers game doesn't matter as much.
Right.
It's more how does John feel about Dan?
Right.
That's really
really going to determine it, you think?
I think so.
Like
And
if he respects him or not?
yeah, I think
Really?
you yourself even said, like, guys get rated based on the women they've dated in their past.
Mm-hmm.
There is an element of that.
So
How
what
do
would
I
make
see
it
that?
better? What would make it worse?
I don't know.
Like, would it make it better if you were like, Dan's got great taste? Dan's the man.
This is
Like,
where
I
I
get
think
it. I get it. Dan's the man.
Well, is it Baldoni? Then I'd be like, great, look at me. No, I think this is where the gender stuff comes in. How we look at our fellow male or woman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if I would look at him and go, I think it would be more, am I going to have to be around him? Is more the issue than his worth as a human being.
Isn't that different than what you just said, though? Like, it would depend how you saw him?
Right, I guess. But I would see him as my best friend. I'd be like, be around this guy all the time, reminded.
I guess.
I don't
I'm trying
know.
to think. If I had a friend, I'm putting myself in this situation. If it were a man, that I meet out a guy, I'm with my friend that I go out with, but I'm not really like that close to. But
Right.
she wanted, like, I needed someone to come with me to this thing, and she was around, so we went. Whatever. Like, I found out she slept with him after.
Mm-hmm. And
I
you
think
haven't.
I think I'd be less likely to like want to hang out with almost like her if I wasn't that. Yeah.
Fair, but you haven't slept with him yet.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't, again, no one's done anything wrong. I think I could get, if I really liked the person, I think I'd get over it.
Would you go on the date again?
Yeah, I think I would. Especially we're not that close.
Right.
Even if we were that close and neither of them were like particularly into each other.
Well, let's say your friend was dumped by him.
And she's my good friend or my
And
not good friend?
She's a good friend.
She's my good friend and she
He-
was dumped by him. And
He
it would bother
said he
her.
didn't want to date her.
Yeah.
And then
Then that would, I'd probably have to, if I dated him, I'd have to know that the friendship would be like massively impacted.
it's going to be.
Yeah.
And so
Well, that's what I'm saying. So like depends how much I valued her friendship.
right.
If I
Because
value,
she's not coming to the wedding,
probably not.
you know?
Probably not.
She's still single.
Right.
If she was married, maybe that's different too.
That also adds a different layer to it. Yeah.
Like, and this is where the male-female thing, like, I don't think I would think of, well, if he's married, it would change my opinion.
Right.
I wouldn't, his being
It'd be the
single
same?
would mean the same to me. If it was my close friend and he's still single and she dumped him and now we're dating, yeah, I guess I would be same.
Mhm.
I'd have to assess how much I valued this friendship, because the option is, if it's close friend, you have to go to that friend and be like, hey, I'm thinking of seeing this person who I don't really know at all.
What do you think about it? Like, would you be upset about it?
Right. You have to worry about upsetting someone you're close with
Right.
to get to know someone you're not close with.
Yeah. But if you're not close with them, if they're just a friend you go out with or a peripheral friend and you don't really value the friendship,
Mm.
I think it's like fine.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest part of this that maybe we're dancing around.
But it's
is how
interesting-
close the
yeah.
friendship is. You know, the idea, I think as an adult, as you get older, the idea of someone having sex with someone else is like, that's not what matters here.
Right. But it's interesting to me because I don't think that's a female thing where you're saying about what you think of the person in general. And maybe that's different because
Maybe it's a younger version.
I think it's also like you assume. I would assume if a guy that I went out with one, slept with a peripheral friend on the first date and they never spoke again, I'd be like, it was just a sex thing. Like
Right.
they hooked up, they weren't like he didn't like her.
Right. What if they went out a few times?
The more times they went out, the weirder it would be. But this is
Right.
the fact that it's one night and they slept together one night and never really spoke again, to me wouldn't make it as big of a thing.
Yeah. And I think she has to say that to him.
You think she has to say they slept together?
Yeah. I think you
You
got to, hey, we hooked up, and let him ask more questions.
Okay, I would have said like, "Hey, just want to let you know, like, I went on, give him some context. Like, I actually went on a date with your friend Dan a few months ago. I want to be like upfront."
That's a text. I think she can do it over text.
Okay,
Hey,
I don't think
I have something on my mind.
Right.
It's making me feel a little weird. I just want to make sure I'm upfront with you.
Yes.
That's like how you start.
I think you could say date. I don't think you need to say hooked up. If he
to me, that's a big part of it. I,
You
mean,
think?
I don't think he's allowed to ask. Hey, we went on a date. Did you fuck? Like, I don't think he can. He can,
He
but
can
I'm
ask
saying
in
it would be.
person.
It's hard. It's harder.
To me, like, why is it any of his business necessarily?
This is. Then she should say
Well,
nothing.
she's saying I had a romantic encounter with your friend Dan.
Was she Bridgerton?
I don't know.
I had
I
a
just don't know
romantic
that
encounter.
I just don't know that I would lead with like
Yo, I
we
fucked
had,
Dan.
We had sex. I just don't know. It's like
I fucked Big Cock Dan.
I'd like wiggle my way into it. I would start off with we had a date, went on a date, and then like if he wanted to, I wouldn't be upset with him for asking me. Like,
Okay.
did you guys hook up?
What if it's like, hey, this has been on my mind since our date. I had a really good time. I just want to let you know, when we first met, I met Dan, and that kind of became the intro into us talking on a dating app. We went on a date. Just
Mhm.
want you to know that. Open to all your questions if you have any questions, but I just want to make sure this is off my conscience.
I think that's fine.
I think that's
right.
okay.
Yeah. And
Open
again,
to all your questions, kind of like
yeah.
then you can ask
feel
whatever.
free to ask
yeah,
me,
right.
or him, I guess.
Did you suck his ball?
But I don't think I don't know.
One ball. I need to
Yeah.
know
I
each
mean,
ball you sucked.
Honestly, if he's uncomfortable with it, I wouldn't say he's like a monster.
No, it's listen. These
yeah.
are feelings. Are feelings.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like better to know if he's uncomfortable with it now, and also so that he can't use it later
yeah.
as a way to
to wiggle
Ease
out.
the breakout up, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Because I could see a guy doing that, being like, if he was like, you went on 3 dates, he's like, yeah, I just can't get the,
can't shake this.
can't shake the thing.
That'd
And
be
it has nothing to do with that.
What an evil breakup that is. All right, let's do another.
Let's
Let's
do
do
it.
an awkward encounter. We love an awkward encounter. Send them in,
Yes.
uup@betches.com. Feather, longtime listener, first time emailer, big fan of the show. Love all the sage advice you two dole out each week. I wanted to write in with an awkward encounter that happened a few years ago. I matched with a guy on Hinge. He asked to do a virtual first date. It was early 2021 and COVID was still a concern, so I said yes. However, instead of asking for my number so we could FaceTime, he asked for my Instagram because apparently you can make face-to-face calls with people you mutually follow. I thought this platform of choice for a video call was odd, but tried to go into the date with a positive attitude. Odd to me.
Odd to me, too.
Yeah. When the date rolled around, it felt more like an interview than a conversation. Within the first few minutes, he told me he still lived with his parents and they were hinting that he needed to get married.
Okay.
Good opener. Later, he asked me what qualities did I like in a partner, to which I responded, I like honesty. He immediately said, then let me be honest with you. Uh-oh. The rest of what proceeded out of his mouth was word vomit, which basically boiled down to admitting 3 things. He cheated on his previous girlfriend with the girl that he lost his virginity to. He was still in love with his girlfriend he cheated on. He had a porn addiction.
What is this, 2 truths and a lie, or it's all a truth?
it's all horrific truths. I didn't know how to respond to that, so I just said, well, nobody's perfect. It's fucking Switzerland over here. After the date, he sent me a message that said we should hang out again, to which I promptly told him no thanks. Needless to say, his honesty was too much for me, but worked out in the end because the next guy I dated from Hinge, our first date was on FaceTime, ended up being my husband. Sincerely, honesty is not always the best policy.
So this is interesting because when she's talking about all the crazy things he's saying to her, I'm like, he's not into it, and he's just kind of like trying to make it so it's a very bad date.
Oh, no. I don't, no.
But then he asks her out again, so I'm like, I guess
No,
that's not the
I think
case.
for him, she was amenable, or, is that the right word? She was,
like amenable to his.
yeah. She was like, okay.
She was like nice, being nice about it.
Yeah. Oh, she's cool with my porn addiction. We shall move forth.
This guy sounds very strange. Then.
Right. There's a little bit, I don't want to like make accusations, but it sounds he's a little bit on the spectrum.
Right.
It did to
And
me,
right, and-
based
and
on the
she
story.
was, like, fine enough with him.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, now we proceed to the next date. You were nice.
Right.
I spoke to you, FaceTime. We did the thing. Now let's go to the next thing. And that doesn't necessarily mean like, the next thing. Like to him, it's
I
like,
guess that checks with the Instagram FaceTime.
right. It's all a little bit
Weird.
I do understand it's 2021, the COVID stuff, but it's also very like structured.
Right.
So let me get these things out.
Let me look at my list of questions.
Right. Oh, you like honesty. Here is honesty. What's too honest on a first date?
I have a porn addiction. It's too honest. I'm still in love with someone I
Right.
recently slept with. It's too honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess not too honest because now she knows.
Right.
but
I guess to me, there's,
I think there's a way to say these things that,
in a way that wouldn't be so direct.
right.
You
that has
could
a
say to
little more
someone,
tact.
I just came out of a relationship. It was a really tough breakup.
Yes.
I cheated. I can take ownership that that's not the right thing to do. But, my ex, I still talk to every now and again. Like you would have to draw those conclusions more
Right.
on a normal date.
The porn addiction, I don't think you need. I mean, is it a real addiction or is
Well-
it you watch a lot of porn?
There's people who have porn addiction that would say that it's a real addiction.
Oh, I'm sure that it
I-
exists. I'm saying it does exist, but I'm saying, is
Right.
this guy's a real addiction or does he just watch a lot of porn?
It is one of those addictions that you immediately like promotes more questions.
Right.
You're not just like, whoa, heroin. Like
I just also feel like, right, if someone were to say it like that quickly, is it as real to that? I don't know.
right. How seriously do you take this addiction?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Oh,
I don't know. Very awkward situation.
I've never had someone be too honest with me on a date. I've always appreciated the
There's
honesty.
nothing
I don't
too
think.
honest.
No, I think I'm happy to know. You know,
Anything.
Well, it's not to say that I won't judge and
Okay.
make a decision that is best for me. This is the thing that we all have to like kind of remind ourselves.
I'm
Everyone
still
is.
in love with my ex-boyfriend. It's fine.
Thank you for telling me. Good to know.
I would be like, why are you here?
Well, I'm just trying to get reps and see if maybe someone can jolt me out of being in love with my ex.
I guess that's
That's
fair.
why
That's
people
good
go
to
on
know.
dates. Well,
That's
here's the thing with dates.
They should do a 2024 remake of Liar Liar.
We just
Right.
maybe this guy's doing it
Maybe.
in real life. I don't know. We have to remember that everyone's on dates for different reasons. Some people are there to like make themselves feel better after a breakup. Some people are there because they're looking to find the one. Some people are there to fuck.
Right.
You know,
But there is some tact.
of
Being
course,
honest.
yeah.
Maybe, and again, maybe she's just summarizing, and he had tact when he said it.
Well, maybe, and also maybe he's like, at this point, she must really want to fuck me if she's heard all this stuff. Still
Right.
goes out with me.
I guess. I mean, I wouldn't word any. Within minutes, he told me he lived with his parents, and they were hinting he needed to get married. That's a little honest.
Well, I could see
That's
being her description of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I
Right.
don't know how he said these things, but if he said them the way she's saying he said them, that would be too
I have
honest,
a porn
too
addiction.
blunt.
Yeah,
I would say is the difference.
I have a porn addiction. To me, it's a straight line to her saying it to us. Hinted at his parents wanting to get married. That could be in
be
the
a
fun
joke.
of a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with my parents again. I'm
Trying
through
to
a
get
break.
me out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
My mom is all over me about marriage. Like that to me is like a normal
There's
first
a way
date.
he could have said it in like a normal, funny, flirty way.
Right. And also, to explain, yeah, I'm living with my parents because I went through a breakup. I actually cheated.
Right.
I can
The
understand
weirdest
how
part, yeah,
the weirdest part is the porn addiction and the I'm in love.
and the Instagram FaceTime.
Yeah. Let's do another email.
Okay.
You ready?
Hello. Thank you for your podcast and the hours of entertainment. I'll get right to the point. Finally,
Let's do it.
for the first time in my life, I'm in a
Just like
relationship.
us.
Exactly, 57 minutes in.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life, I'm in a relationship where I'm extraordinarily happy and actually could see myself marrying this person.
Da 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 da.
Here's the problem.
Uh-oh.
Early on, he expressed at one point that me hanging out with my girlfriend, who is a lesbian, is hot to him. This opened up a dialogue about his desires, which resulted in us going to sex clubs and happy ending massage parlors.
Good for you two.
While I enjoy being watched by other people, I'm more reluctant to interact with others in a sex club.
Okay.
I will kiss and touch other women, and in that moment, I like it because it turns him on. But later, I feel weird about it. Because I feel uncomfortable in the club environment, I will drink too much and then overreact when I think he's paying attention to another woman.
This sounds not volatile at all.
Not messy at all. But because of this, I lose my credibility when I try to address the fact that I feel I am not enough for him. To be clear, he's super respectful of me. I have told him my heart outs of what I wouldn't want to see him do in a club, and he goes out of his way to respect that. I mean, that seems
Doesn't seem
not
like
that
he's
hard to
doing
do,
right.
yeah. He gave me a loan of $10,000 to get out of a bad relationship and was intentional about it not creating an unequal power balance.
I mean, this
Okay.
person writing in, they're like, let me take care of my mouse issue with a cat issue, and now has a cat
Like
issue.
the old lady
that's
who
taking-
swallowed a fly.
Yeah, this is like, she's like, oh, I had a 10K problem with my ex, and then I borrowed from. You're in a
Creating
ex
a-
Ponzi scheme of
Yeah.
a certain kind. This is a mess. Okay.
I trust him implicitly. However, I have had a hard time explaining to him as well as myself why it doesn't sit right with me that he sometimes needs others to be part of our sex. Okay. Do I need to just suck it up and drink less in these settings so I'm not overly emotional, or do I need to press him a little harder about not wanting to involve other people in our sex? I know 100% this is my person. I have never, ever been so sure of anything in my 44 years of life. I'm not so sure.
I think you're going to be less sure.
I'm seeking an outside perspective because I don't want to fuck it up. I think the main point of my question is, what are the boundaries for your partner's kink? Sincerely, a confused, oversexed fetch. I think that's her question, but I don't think that's the real question here.
Right. I think her real question is written in the email, as most are. I'm seeking an outside perspective because I don't want to fuck it up. That's your problem.
Right. And that
She's
that
so worried about
question
fucking it up.
is a tale as old as time.
Right. You're so worried about fucking it up that you're working against yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That you're working against your own
Instincts.
instincts and your own
Preferences.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's said it in the email.
She doesn't like this.
Yeah, you weren't sure how you'd feel. You went and did it. There's moments you like it. but you're left with a weird feeling afterwards.
Right.
And that's okay. You have the whole sexual adventure you're on is exciting, good for you. I'm happy that you found someone that you can kind of like talk that stuff out with and be open with it. But you can't just be open and then not.
Yeah. I think her fear is that she said she was open to it before she tried it.
Right.
She tried it, and now she's deeply invested in this guy, and she's afraid to say, I actually don't want that.
Right. If you and then she's like, well, he'll go move on to someone who will give him the sexual thing he needs. I would say to her, if he's the right guy, if he's as in love with you as you are with him, he will find and because you guys are open sexually, like I do think there's a chance for this.
Right.
You can figure out the way that can work for both of you through communication. But right now, you haven't let him know how this is mixing with your emotions.
Right. Or she's only let him know in this like drunk kind of reactive state, which I get what she's saying. She's like, I have less credibility when I like get drunk at the sex club and like yell at him because I'm insecure.
Right.
It's like, you need to have this conversation outside of the sex club.
It's got to be
non-drinking.
You said reactive. This has to be she needs to be proactive, not reactive.
Yes, for sure.
And if she's proactive, she's worried that like that will push him out. But that's a good negotiator is someone who is okay with losing.
That's like the person on the dating apps.
Right.
Right. You've got to, and again, like she says, I've never been so sure of anything in my 44 years of life. Someone that you're that sure of, you should be able to say, I'm just not really as interested in this. And again, if she's open sexually to other things, she's not saying, maybe I'm open to trying this and this and this, but this I've tried.
Right.
I wanted to get into it. I wanted to try it to see, like, because it's something that you enjoy. I don't enjoy it.
Right.
And I don't really want to do that.
And it's taking a negative effect on my life. I drink more. I get angry at you, someone who I care about.
Right. I'm not cut. And I think you could say, I think there's a sense like, I'm not really cut out for this.
Right.
I think.
And that's the thing about, the sex stuff, but everything in relationship is like, this is like emotional bumper cars. Mm-hmm. We don't know until we go through with it.
Right.
And I think that's like a fun partner. I think this woman's a fun partner, like sexually. That's what makes her fun. She was like, I'll try. Let's see what happens. Most people would go, I don't even want to open that door in my brain.
Right.
I don't need to see what happens.
She's already done a lot.
She has done. That's the thing. She needs to give herself a lot of credit.
Very open-minded.
Very open-minded. She's like, give yourself the credit. Like, I did. And it's just because I did doesn't mean I'll do.
Right. And that's what you say a lot, which is very important, I think, for anyone to know. Just because you are open to trying something doesn't mean you're open to doing it forever. Right.
So if a good couple, and all you hear from like these sex couples, these couples that really do this shit is that they are so communicative. They have tons of rules. They have tons of open conversations. Because when you meet these people who do these types of relationships, there's
a lot that goes into it.
There's so much that goes into it that's not just an off the top of my head, maybe we should bring in a third.
Right.
When they do it, they do it. They are dream catcher in the window type of weirdos. And most people are not that.
And good for this
and I say that lovingly, good for her.
And pay back the $10,000.
Let's play a game. Yeah, get out of debt with him. Yeah. Maybe that'll help.
Then you'll have more power in these conversations.
Right. This episode is brought to you by NYX Cosmetics. Hope you've been stretching those swiping thumbs and readying your first date small talk because cuffing season is coming up quick. But don't stress, you can find your perfect match with just one swipe. With NYX Cosmetics Buttermelt Blush, we've partnered with NYX Cosmetics to bring you some stories from the dating world that will make you blush. Whether you want to be single or partnered up this fall, it doesn't matter. Let's jump right into our first listener story. You ready?
Let's jump right in.
As we do. Here's a blush face emoji story. I met a man one night out in NYC. We had martinis and wine till 1:30 a.m. We were flirty, smooched, and almost booked a spontaneous flight to Europe for the summer. As he was walking me home, he continued to stop in his tracks, hold me, smooch my lips.
This woman loves the word smooch.
I hate it.
I hate the word smooch too. It makes me uncomfortable.
Smooch in context is fine. Like
smooch sounds like something you would give like a 3-year-old that was trying to escape your grasp.
Yeah.
Let me give you a smooch.
Right. Grandma words.
Right.
Not like smooch my lips.
No.
Twirl me on the streets, hold my hand, etc., with the ask of me coming back to his to play cards and still hang out, to which I denied because I knew what that would lead to. And I did not want to fall victim to do anything I would regret the next day, as this has happened before. He agreed he would take me out Sunday and kept insisting on seeing me again. I texted him, "Thank you for walking me home. See you Sunday," with a blush face emoji. He said, "Of course." I followed up saying, "Good morning, still on for later," and legit radio silence. The chemistry was there. The conversation was great. What the fuck happened? So now she's blushing because she got ghosted?
Yeah. Or she's blushing because she like thought this was gonna.
They were going to Europe.
Yeah, they've talked about a European plan. They're smooching all over the city.
Yeah. City smoochers.
Okay, so I think one obvious option is that he's actually not. He woke up the next day, sobered up, and realized he didn't like her that much.
Right.
That's an option.
Yeah.
Another option, I thought maybe as a girlfriend.
Could. Wife, girlfriend,
Yeah.
boyfriend.
Why talk about a trip to Europe? Spontaneous flight to Europe for the summer.
Because you're trying to get her in bed.
All right, and she wouldn't do it.
You sell people on the dream. This is what it
Lie?
could be. Yeah, well, there's on the spectrum of good to evil. I got carried away and I enjoyed your company and I was talking about Europe.
I did want to go to Europe.
Yeah, in that moment, I would have gotten on that flight right then and there. On Sunday, maybe not. I got shit to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is what happens. And it's like good for her for not sleeping with him.
Yeah.
Because if he won't, go the next move, I don't think,
Right. I mean, he could have the decency to just be like, "Hey, I guess you can. I guess you can. After talking that big of a game, you kind of have to ghost."
It's hard. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
'Cause you can't- What are you gonna say? We don't have a romantic connection. They were making out all night, talking about European plans. Like, what could you say?
I've been this guy more than I'd like to admit.
Okay.
And I will say,
Would you ghost in that scenario?
I would hope I wouldn't, but I can't say I would. I wouldn't, but I would also say that like a text that says like, "I got a little carried away last night. I had a great time. I am not where I said I was. And I don't know how to roll this toothpaste back in the tube."
Right.
Because
good thing she didn't sleep with him, because getting that text the next day after that would be tough.
I mean, I could be this guy to a lot of people. This like, because you go out, you have some drinks, you're kissing.
Would you not answer? Good morning. Still on for later?
I think I would answer. I would hope.
Yeah.
I can't remember a specific instance where I didn't, but I mean, I have not answered.
Who is this?
I think what you said is correct. Like, man, I got carried away. And now I got fucking brunch plans. I've had that happen.
It's a tough thing to say.
We should.
Yeah.
We should. We should, dude.
We should.
We should go to Europe. We should, hang out on
nice.
Sunday. It's not nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm blushing for myself.
You're like a bullshit artist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do another one.
J&J, thank you for all your sage advice over the years. You got me through an incredibly toxic breakup, and I'm forever grateful. I come to you with an embarrassing problem. Am I a bad kisser?
Yes.
The other day, my very nice boyfriend.
Sally Smoochstein.
Yeah, another smooching issue. The other day, my very nice boyfriend kindly tried to tell me in not so many words that he felt like our kissing styles were off.
You're a bad kisser.
Yeah, I would say. He said, do you not like French kissing, or have you not had that much experience? Because sometimes you curl your tongue a certain way and I don't know what to do.
Oh my God.
This is the nice
Good
version.
for him. I'm proud of him.
Do you not
We've had people write in about this and we don't know what to say.
Way to say it. Do you not like French kissing? I mean,
how do you say it? What is his options?
I think you should. I think to me, if you're gonna, I'll read the rest of this, but I think that the best way to start with, at least, is to say, "I love it when you do this with your tongue."
Right. Talk positive.
Not like
little.
Do you hate this? Because you're totally fucking it up. Why are you even here?
Hey, purse lips.
Don't you think that's a better way to start? Is with what you do like rather than what you don't like?
I love when we hug. I don't know. Yeah.
I love when you put your tongue in this position.
What if the whole kiss is bad?
All of it.
Yeah, because I tend to think if he has an issue with a part of the kiss, it's the whole fucking kiss.
Would a guy be in a relationship with someone that he didn't enjoy kissing? I feel like that would be the first thing you would figure out.
In my mind, for me, I'd be like, we're not going to be sexually
That's what I'm saying. I feel like
right.
most
If the
guys
kiss is
wouldn't
bad,
get
I don't
that
want to
far.
go farther than
This
this.
is his
But
girlfriend.
well, they like each other. He likes
Maybe
her.
she's very hot.
Well, this is the thing. She's she's hot to him, and he's trying to save this.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate him saying anything at all. That's hard to do. I mean, she's writing to us. She says, look at her
Yeah.
next sentence.
To say I was embarrassed is an understatement. I'd be embarrassed. I try to take it on the nose and ask constructive questions like, how do you like being kissed? Is there something I could do differently? See, these are the things that he should have said.
Yeah, good questions.
Tell me what you think is hot. When I really just wanted to cry. Aw.
I'm sorry.
On the contrary, I've gotten many compliments over the years, and I just think our kissing chemistry is off. But now I'm feeling so shy to even give him more than just a peck, which is very unlike me. He apologized after.
Smooches, pecks. We got all the.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
He apologized after, saying he didn't want to hurt my feelings, that he might just be super particular, and this is something we can work on.
Here's where I'll come to her defense. It's interesting. She had a better way of putting it. Kissing chemistry.
Yeah.
That could be very true.
Maybe
For
that
him to
was-
say I'm doing it good and you're doing it bad is kind of like
That's
it's
what
kind
I'm
of fucked
saying.
up.
You
yeah.
said he said it in a nice way. I think there's a lot of room for improvement in the way that he brought this up.
I guess I'm more impressed that he said something at all.
Fine.
That's where I give him credit.
Fine, but I think that he didn't. I don't think he did it in like a
Tactfully.
in a tactful way that didn't make her. Clearly, it made her feel embarrassed, and I think that the
Right.
way he did it did that. J&J, how do I get over this hump and regain my confidence and not think so hard when kissing my man? I might have to get tequila drunk and just go for it. Sincerely, great in bed, bad at kissing bitch.
Well,
Okay.
let's not assume that.
So she says she's
I great in bed. Maybe we need to all go to medium. This is not. She should play
well,
this
she
for
thinks
him.
that, then that's even
But-
more embarrassing.
Well, both of them need to like adjust how they're thinking about this. No one's great. We all fucking suck in bed. Okay, we
here's
all
my
suck at
thought.
kissing. We're good with someone.
I agree with that. And I think the fact that she says, I've gotten many compliments over the years, means she's doing something out of the norm.
Interesting.
Right.
For someone to say
Because
something.
people are commenting on it.
Okay.
How often are you commenting on someone's kissing?
Very little. Great point.
Right?
Yes.
You're not saying good or bad, because usually it's like,
Similar.
again, it's chemistry or not
Yeah.
chemistry. But I would imagine she does something that other people have given her positive reinforcement on, that's a little different than the average,
Mhm.
that is not this guy's thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with kissing. Like, well, if she's doing something different, maybe they're commenting on it in a positive way because they're more tactful than him.
Well, that's
And-
another option. Maybe,
right,
maybe
they're
most
like,
people don't
What
like
the fuck
it.
is that?
Because like in the same way you'd say like, oh, like the same way I'd said to you, like, interesting, you changed your facial hair when you
Right.
when you had your mustache. Like I'm commenting on it. I'm not
You're not complimenting it.
right. I'm sort of just recognizing it
Right.
in a
And she is sincerely great in bed, bad at kissing bitch, tells me everything I need to know. Why can't it just be,
Mediocre in bed.
Right. Well, it's just like one doesn't,
Also, there's no way for you to really know. That's the other thing about it's very hard for someone to know how good they are.
right.
bed,
Well,
really.
this is like, we live in our mind's eye. We only know based on
What other people tell us.
To me, it's sex, kissing, all this stuff is so much more the
Right.
combination
I
than
agree.
it is someone's great.
like
Listen,
attraction. It's like a
totally.
It's like a do you do it for me? Do I do it for you?
Right. And it's also, do we compliment each other well? And I've been with women who are more comfortable in their body during a sexual experience and less comfortable.
Right.
And the ones that are more comfortable, then I can be more comfortable. Now we're comfortable together. It all kind of works into the stew.
Mm-hmm.
I think for her, she needs to maybe the conversation needs to be first, hey, I don't like that you've kind of put me in this position that you're the good kisser and I'm the bad kisser.
Yeah, and start with a little vulnerability. I
Yeah.
felt really embarrassed when you
Right.
told me that.
Yeah. And it felt like now I have to live up to you.
Mhm.
And I would say these are all your feelings.
Right.
And have empathy for him. He's just trying to tell you something because he's trying to
Right.
stay
could
with
say,
you.
You could say that too. I felt a little. First of all, thank you for telling me that something
Yes.
that felt off to you with our sexual chemistry.
Right.
I'm glad you told me because I do want to know if you're feeling like there's a disconnect.
Right.
Start with that. The way you told me, I have to say, kind of embarrassed me. It made me feel like you knew exactly what you were doing, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
Right.
I think the better way to have this discussion is, why don't you tell me what you do like, and we can work on it that way.
Right. And let me add into that.
Sure.
Can we just start at like, we need to figure this out together? Like,
Sure.
I would say that to him. This
good.
is an us issue, not a me issue, not a you issue. Because we like each other enough to have this conversation.
Right.
And this is where it could become funny. Like, we like each other to have this conversation. We're here. Okay? And I think what they should do, this is my outside of the box solution. Lie next to each other with their faces like on top of each other. Like, you're both on your side on the bed, and you like face each other on the bed. And I would start very slowly kissing and smooching. Yeah. And go, you kiss me the way you want me to kiss. You lead, and then I'll lead. And then I would go back and forth.
Make it fun.
And make it fun. Make it sober. Or maybe have a glass of wine before you do this if it's awkward. I don't know. But lay in the bed and have this like quiet moment together. And you lead me, I lead you, and I think that'll begin you guys working together on this. Yeah. I think that would help. I'm like imagining it, because I'm like talking about kissing is awkward and not hot and weird, and the blame game that he did, not hot, a little weird.
Right.
Let's lie down and smell each other, be kind of gripped in each other's arms, cuddling, nose to nose. Yeah. And then we'll talk about it from that close.
And if that doesn't work, break up.
Time to end it.
I mean, no. The more I'm thinking about the way he said it, the more annoyed I'm getting. He said, "Do you not like French kissing, or have you not had that much experience?"
Right. It puts them into a power position. It's a little bit.
Do you not have that much experience? I'm trying to think of someone said that about the way French you did anything else in your life.
Right. If you handed in a report to your boss and they were like, "Do you not like Excel?"
Have you never handed in a report before?
Right. Like, that's douchey.
Doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again to NYX Cosmetics for sponsoring today's episode. The new NYX Cosmetics Buttermelt Blush is here to help you get that perfect flush. It's highly pigmented, so one swipe is all you need. With 12 shades in both soft matte and glowy finishes, you're bound to find your perfect match. And at just $10 per blush, you can test out different shades before committing, because you never know until you try. And let's be real, finding the right blush is way easier than finding the one. And you can try NYX Cosmetics Buttermelt Blush for yourself by visiting nyxcosmetics.com. That's nyxcosmetics.com.
Well, we solved dating again.
We did it.
We did it. If you're out there and you're in Indianapolis, Austin, Raleigh, St. Louis, I'm coming. JaredFree.com. Always a pleasure.
Always the best. All right. We'll be back on Sunday. Bye.
Boom.
The U Up podcast is produced by Belle Roman and Candice Maniga. Edited by Belle Roman. Social media by Candice Maniga. Guest booking by Ali Friedlander. VP of podcast is Chris Allen. And be sure to follow You Up at u.up.podcast.